Good evening to everyone. You are on live with the Wiley Resource Center. We are talking, as usual, about the Illinois Sealing Bill. I am Melissa Williams. I am one of the hosts tonight, and I'm being joined by
Mr. Larry Kimbrough.
And he is our illustrious co-host as well. Tonight, we have a great show lined up. We're going to be talking about the Illinois Urban Weatherization Initiative. We are scheduled to have a phone call in from the board chairman, Percy Harris, who is down in East St. Louis, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about that. We would love for you all to call in. You can see the number up on your screen. So please do call in with your questions and your comments, and we would love to speak with you. We're going to go ahead and we're going to jump into a quick conversation before we hear from Mr. Harris about the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission and the guidance that they have issued with regard to hiring and ex-offenders. So this is a good conversation, not only for people who have backgrounds and their family and friends, but also for our business owners that are out there so that you can know what the current state of the law is as well. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Kimbrough, and we're going to start that conversation.
Well, I appreciate that. From a business standpoint, as a business owner, when it comes to this law, what should I definitely know about the law?
Okay. This particular rule has been on the books for a couple of decades. But in April of this year, after having some hearings in Washington, D.C. on last year, the EEOC has ruled that it is discriminatory to just have a blanket rule and say we are not going to hire ex-offenders. Okay, that is not something that is going to be legal or acceptable. There is guidance that was issued in April of this year that says that you must look at the person's background, like what types of offenses were committed, how long ago it was since they were committed, and if there's any relation to the type of job it is that they're trying to get. Right. So if there is some type of driving offenses that they have, if they're not going to be driving, you can't just say, I don't want to hire you because you're an ex-offender. That's not going to work out. So for our business owners out there, this is the guidance. Right. And the bottom line is Title VII discrimination suits can be brought against you for having blanket rules saying that you will not hire ex-offenders.
So when I do a background check, and I immediately see that the person's an ex-offender, I just can't just say disregard the application.
Absolutely. You've got to do the analysis, the three-prong analysis that we just talked about, right? You've got to look at the type of offense, how long ago, and if there is a relation to the type of job it is that this person is seeking. In the state of Illinois, there is another bill that is being sponsored by State Representative Ford. It is called Ban the Box. That's the street name. It is House Bill 1210. And we're going to be having a public hearing about the sealing bill as well as the Ban the Box bill. And we're going to want people to come out and testify about how important it is that we don't just have these blanket rules that tell people, oh, you check a box that says that you're an ex-felon or you're an ex-offender, and so you can't be hired. That should not be going on in Illinois, especially because the EEOC, the Federal Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, has said that that is not something that is acceptable. We do have a caller, and we're going to take them at this time.
Guess our caller had a problem.
Okay, we're going to continue the discussion in that case.
Well, let me ask you this, because we were talking about the insurance portion of it. As far as like a business owner, if I was working or if I own Walmart or Kmart or some big box store like that, I'm required by my insurance company to report who are my employees. And that to me seems like this doesn't matter.
Oh, this absolutely matters, because what you do is if you say, I don't want to hire ex-offenders because I don't want my insurance premium to go up, is you open yourself up to these Title VII discrimination suits. And I'm sure, because I do sit as a part of a criminal justice task force in the Chicago area, and there are a number of attorneys who are looking at this And the bottom line is you can't trample on people's human rights just because you don't want your insurance premiums to go up. So that's something that's going to have to be examined further. But you're not just going to be able to get away with saying, I don't want to pay extra insurance. That's not going to be a good enough reason.
Yeah, coming from a small business perspective, I probably wouldn't be able to handle that if my rates had to go up. But even though my business is working with working with ex-offenders, how I just don't. So I guess my question should be is how do I take the first step to make sure that I don't get penalized because I'm hiring ex-offenders?
But you're going to have to do that analysis that they're talking about there. You're going to have to do that 3-prong analysis. And what I suggested to you earlier as well is that you speak with some of the folks who are in the House and the Senate and on those insurance committees to discuss this with them. Just like we took information to them about the ceiling bill, ban the box, whatever bills are out there, you need to be having those conversations with your legislators to see what can be worked out in your favor as well, especially when it comes to being a small business.
Okay.
We do have another caller, so let's go ahead and let's take that caller. You are on the air. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Clarence Jenkins.
Hi, Clarence.
And I got out of prison probably in about the 80s. I've been out of jail close to 15 years. And when I was in there, first, I had brain surgery before I went to jail because I got hit by a car. And I think that's where all my stuff started. That would wind me up in jail with addictions and whatnot. No really violent stuff, just real crazy. And they pushed it to the max because of me going back and forth so much. I guess they got tired of me. So what I'm saying, the gist is, I've done about 17 years on and out from jail. And I was wondering, how did they even let me do 17 years on and out from jail, and I never committed a violent crime? So then when I did get out of jail, they put me on medication. When I did get out of jail, fortunately, a psychologist helped me. I went to Hartford, and he introduced me to a doctor named Mr. Harris. And he weaned me off the medication. He had me taking Prolix. It was crazy. But that's the sign of employment, even on disability, because I know it's some way you can work on disability, make it over certain if you're not above the poverty line.
Right.
So, but every time I look for a job, they bring up this. They don't even bring up my disability or nothing. They bring up the ex-felon and the ex-con stuff. And I ain't been in jail in 15 years. I've been in the police hands. I don't even think about it no more.
Well, I'm sorry to cut you off, Clarence. But you bring up a really important point that we need to make sure that we emphasize for everyone. It doesn't matter how long ago it was. You know, we have people that have offenses from 40 years ago. And they're still having issues that are being brought up against them. So I understand what you're saying as far as it should be some type of rule out here that they can't look back that far, but there is no rule out there like that. So that's why it's so important that we work on House Bill 5723 and that we get that bill passed so that those nonviolent offenses that you have on your record can be sealed from the eyes of the general public and you can get employment. So, Clarence, we want to thank you for your question. And I'm going to show our information as well. If you want to come by the Resource Center and you want us to evaluate your record, we can do that. You want to get your rap sheet from the Chicago Police Department headquarters, and you want to give us a call on our information line, and we want you to come by and see us so that we can evaluate your record and see what it is that we can do to assist you.
So again, we have more smaller incremental steps with the 5723 House bill.
Absolutely.
To lead to the bigger picture.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And what I do want to say about this before we begin to talk about the Urban Weatherization Initiative is that, you know, this bill, in order for it to pass and not die in the veto session this fall, we're going to have to get to work. It's time out for talking. We've got politicians, you know, Larry was speaking to someone earlier this week that are saying, oh, I'm for anything for the community. Well, we need you to put your signature on the dotted line and say that you're in support. And we need regular folks If you think that your phone calls and your letters and your emails to legislators don't matter, your visits to their office don't matter, that is wrong. It is election time in November, and what we do now will matter. So we are encouraging you to get involved with this bill. There was someone that said, oh, we heard that the bill doesn't really mean anything anymore because they started slicing the offenses that would become sealable. That is not the case. There are advocates. We have over 80 groups throughout the state of Illinois that are advocating for things like retail theft, for drug offenses to become sealable, those non-violent offenses, those non-violent burglaries. We are out here fighting for you. But I had a friend, Randy Ryder, with Keeping It Real Street Law Project. He's an ex-offender, and he'll tell you that proudly. He's a rehabilitated citizen. And what he will tell you is that it is not proper to have people fighting for you. People should be fighting with you. That's one of the issues in our community, is that we expect people to fight for us. No. We need to be fighting together to get the things that we need to improve our communities. So
I think we got Percy on the line.
With that said, we're going to switch over. I want to dedicate this program tonight to the Fighting Fifth. You know who you are, formerly under the leadership of our former Senator Ricky Hendon. On Monday nights, we used to always have a Monday night meeting, and we would be talking about the information to the people in the community. And that's what we're doing here tonight. We're continuing that tradition, and we're going to be talking about the Illinois Urban Weatherization Initiative with Mr. Percy Harris, who is the chair of the Urban Weatherization Initiative Board.
Hello, Percy.
Percy?
Hello?
Yeah,
Hello?
Hi,
how you
Percy.
Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing?
Good. It's Melissa on with you, as well as Larry Kimbrough.
Well, how you doing?
Doing well. We're doing well. We're excited to have you. We've already told everyone who you are, and also that you're calling us from East St. Louis. So we really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to call up and talk with the folks at home about the Urban Weatherization Initiative.
No problem. It's a pleasure. I'm glad to be able to get on the phone and talk to the great citizens of the city of Chicago and let you all know that you're one of the communities that were earmarked for this program. So make sure you understand what's going on. This basically is a program where we're going to train unemployed residents to become home energy auditors and weatherization specialists. And then we're going to create programs where they're hired to do that work in the homes that fit the criteria according to the state statute. And it's a great program. It's no taxpayers' dollars. This is bond-driven money. The board has been working very hard to put this program out there. We're actually starting it from scratch. We're using some of the things that happen in other programs as guides as to how to structure and set up our program. And I think we've done a well of a job. We've had staff turnover, and we've dealt with that, and we've attended practically every single meeting. I've been to Chicago, and my fellow board members, Melissa and Ms. Deborah Harrington, have been down here, and we've gone to Kankakee. So we're trying to go around the state and let everybody know about this program that's available. Right now, there's an RFP on the streets for agencies to apply to actually get a $500,000 per grantee to actually start doing the work on the homes and start hiring the trainees that we've already trained.
Okay. You know, Percy, I got an email today from someone that told me that they just finished up doing training to become a weatherization specialist, and they wanted to know what their next step is. So how would they get involved? What would be their next step? What are they waiting for? If they're successful with getting their certification through BPI, what's their next step? What can they be looking forward to?
What they'll be looking forward to is once we announce the grantees that are going to win the award, and we're hoping to do that relatively quickly. We want to do it before September. I think is the goal in mind, so we're shooting for that goal. But, it depends on the level of applications we get in the review process. But if we can make that announcement in September, roughly it takes a 30-day turnaround from that point for grantees to get their grant agreements in place and start to do their recruitment. They'll be getting a listing of every grantee that we funded that will be the initial job referral source, because they are required of the employees that they hire to do this work. 50% of those employees at a minimum must come from our training programs.
Okay,
So
so
it's a great opportunity for these people if they can just be patient with us, you know, because I know they will have to initially hire the home energy auditor people to start that work, and then the contractors that they may want to use will have to hire the weatherization specialists to do that work. This is really not a union type of job. It's really a green job, and green jobs have never been able to be associated with unions totally, and they tried to cross over with different things. But I think it's a great opportunity for unemployed residents in these communities. It's a way for us to stabilize our neighborhoods, because if you stabilize the residential neighborhood, you stabilize the community, people have money to spend, and people become happy, and things get better. And this is a way to stimulate the economy without the federal government putting money in everybody's pocket. You just lower everybody's utility bill so they have money to spend, because you know, like I know, if you got to make a choice in spending, you know, to pay the light bill, or you want to go have a party, you're going to pay the light bill, because you know if you don't pay the light bill, you can't have a party. So, you know, we try to make sure that when we do this, everything will be energy efficient. We're going to set standards on the type of equipment that will have to be put into the homes, and they'll be done properly. The home energy, and as a matter of fact, some of the home energy auditors are getting jobs now because mortgage companies are starting to hire those people because they see the benefit of having those people to go in these homes and do a home energy audit to see if the home is going to be energy efficient to help the new buyer try to be able to afford the mortgage.
So, Percy, let me ask you this. So, there are 3 different types of grants, if I'm hearing you correctly, and what I remember from being on the board. There's the home energy auditor training. So if you're out there and you want to learn how to do the blower door, and you want to learn how to assess what work needs to be done on the home, then you will go through home energy auditor training, right?
Correct.
And then for weatherization specialists, those are the folks that will actually be going into the homes and doing the weatherization work itself.
Yep.
Okay.
Putting in the windows, running duct work, the whole bit.
Okay. Now, this third phase that is currently on the street right now, these are going to be the organizations, the community-based organizations that will be identifying homeowners, correct?
Correct.
And then they will be making sure that the folks who have been trained for the auditor program and weatherization specialist program will be hired. So these are real jobs that are coming our way. This is not, you know, a fantasy. It's not a mirage. You know,
these are real jobs.
These are real jobs.
We're actually, you know, I did a little research, and I understand the federal government Department of Energy is really looking at when they did that big weatherization initiative before. It had so many flaws and so many issues, and they're trying to rethink that because the program has merit. It really has merit, because that's the issue of the day. If you can start to have energy efficient residential units, you start to create an economy boom that you didn't even think existed. I mean, the utility companies, everybody say, well, they don't want you to save energy. Well, yeah, they do, because it will cost them less to buy the energy that they sell to you, because you're making them save, just like you're saving. So it's a very good concept, and we have to make it work. And I think we're on the ground floor of this initiative. We've been appropriated $450 million over a 5-year period to spend on this initiative in these communities. We have 5 communities now. We're in the process of creating a list to name additional communities, because we want to reach out to every part of this state to help people as much as we can. I think it was a great concept of the Illinois Legislative Black Caucus. I think this is probably the best thing since sliced bread to come out of Springfield. I'm 100% behind it, because I know the benefit of green building and energy efficient residential units, because I work on them all the time. And I have a development in East St. Louis I completed for single family homes, and people have a $100 light bill instead of a $300 light bill when we just went through this triple digit heat. And that's just great to see, because that's what we really want to see.
Absolutely. So many things seem to be accomplished through this initiative, and the vision of the Illinois Legislative Black Caucus seems to be coming to reality. You know, I've had people that have said, oh, well, that's not the way that the legislation is written. But there are 2 things that you look at. You look at how the legislation is written, and also the legislative intent. And this board has been able to work with the Black Caucus, as well as some other legislators who advised the board, to look at what the intent was. And it seems as though we're creating jobs, we're weatherizing homes, people are being trained for a career, not just the job that they're going to get while this program is going on, but for the jobs, the green jobs of the future. So this is very exciting.
And there's an entrepreneurial piece, because some of the people who have already graduated have decided to set up their own little companies and just start doing the work themselves without waiting on us to come through a job. So, I mean, it's because the market is wide open for this type of work. I mean, it's a specialty type of work, but if you can do it, you can make a lot of money doing it. I work with an energy review company now on homes that I do with nonprofits, and the guys make a lot of money. And they don't sweat. You know, they don't get dirty. They make good money. So it's a great job. It's a simple job. The tools really tell you that you just have to know how to use all the tools. It's a lot of math and calculations, but it works.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Larry, did you have any questions for Mr. Harris?
Well, you talked about some of the flaws that were in other programs, and you mentioned that you're tweaking this program especially. Can you elaborate on some of the things that you think that are going to improve this one over other programs?
Well, I think one of the things we did, other programs provide training opportunities. They just said, here's the money to do the house, contractors don't find the people to do the home. So there was no checks and balances. They didn't even have a third-party review to make sure the work was done properly. That's one of our requirements.
Right.
When you complete a home, somebody other than who you hire has to go in there and pass that home and say it was done properly.
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely.
Because what we did, and it took us time, and it was with the board. We've probably been one of the hardest working boards that the state has seen in a long time. I mean, we work. We don't just attend the meeting and talk. We work. You know, we're emailing each other and looking at data. And what we looked at was the mere fact that the failure of other programs primarily was they did not create an employment pool to do this work. They depended on contractors, and contractors depend on union labor, so it always became an argument. And basically, carpenters kind of look at wood with a nail and a hammer, okay? Where a weatherization specialist look at it, okay, is it pressure treated? Right. What type of wood is it? Will it withstand moisture? Stuff like that. So there's a whole different concept of how the two different jobs would look at the same item. Right. And what we looked at was making sure that we train people so that we know we could put these people to work. And I tell everybody, this was my concept. We're going to train you, then we're going to make sure these people hire you. Okay, nobody complain that you just got trained, you ain't got no job.
And these folks
if you can't get them to their job, if you can't pass the drug test, I ain't got nothing to do with that.
Right.
And these folks are trained, and these folks are certified. So when folks are going to be coming into their home, into your homes, you can be comfortable that they've been trained and they've been certified.
And they haven't just been trained by just anybody.
Right.
They've been trained by certain specific organizations.
Because everybody that performed the BPI certification training had to be affiliate of the BPI certification program.
Absolutely.
Okay. So BPI said, yeah, these people can do this training. They know what they're doing.
Okay.
I mean, we really were very meticulous. I think somebody said to me, we were nitpicky to a fault. And I said, thank you very much for the compliment, because sometimes you have to be that way to make things work properly.
Right.
And the goal was making sure that we didn't come back later and say, oh, my God, what did we do?
Right.
Well, Mr. Harris, we just want to thank you for calling in all the way from East St. Louis.
My pleasure.
We hope that folks have listened to Mr. Harris and got some good information on today. I'm going to flash up information about the weatherization program. If you want to call in, or if you want to email in, if you want to check out the website, there is a due date on that third grant for the community organizations who are identifying homes and hiring workers, and that date is July the 18th. So if you're interested in applying for that phase of the grant, you need to make sure that you get on it immediately, because that due date is going to be July the 18th.
So I need to move fast then.
I need to move fast. And also, what we want to do is we want to make sure, because we're about to wrap up now, we want to make sure that we give you all the information for the Wiley Resource Center. If you're out there and you need some assistance, if you want us to evaluate your background, give us a call or visit our website, and we would love to assist you if you want to help out with the bill, and we hope that you do. House Bill 5723 must pass, you all, for some relief in our communities.
So they can come to the Wiley Resource Center on what day? Is it Saturday?
It's the third Saturday afternoon, 12:30 p.m. of every month. If you call our number, you will get all of the information that you need to come in and visit with us.
Do they need to bring anything?
You want to bring your rap sheet with you. And all of that is listed on our phone number. That's our information line. So as usual, it's great to have been with Mr. Kimbrough. It's great to have heard from Percy Harris with the Weatherization Initiative. And it's great to have been with you. Thank you for taking your time out of your schedule. And we will see you again next week. Good night.